All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Thursday, June 12th, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns, presented to you by Rogue Sports Network. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson, and this is All in Horns. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the new NIL laws that are being talked about, that are being put in place. Jake, essentially, this is going to be kind of a you episode. Now, I'll be here to monitor anything, but you're going to know way more about it and probably have more opinions on it than I will. But then, honestly, we'll put our brains together and form one full coherent brain for the first time and talk about, is this the right way to go about it? And are there better ways to go about regulating NIL? And I think you and I may be on the same page on this. But anyway, the new laws, essentially the main one we're going to be talking about is any NIL deal that is worth over $600 is going to be mandatory reported to the NCAA so they can monitor that. Now, I don't really know what the NCAA is going to do with that information or what regulations, stipulations, percentages. I don't know what they're going to do with that information. Jake, you might have a little bit more insight on it than I do.
Yeah, and the weird thing about this is I don't think it's necessarily a new law, but it sounds like a law that's going to be more enforced with the $600 or more needing to be reported, being reviewed, things like that. And to me, this is just a classic, the NCAA just proving that they are complete imbeciles when it comes to figuring out how to regulate, how to set themselves up for success as well, because I mean, it's such a low dollar amount, first off, that there's no way you're going to be able to truly regulate it well. And you should just be looking at higher dollar amounts. The way to regulate this, I think we both have talked about and agreed on, is requiring contracts to be signed, or a tiered system like you've mentioned. I'm a little more on the contract side, but I do like your tiered system idea as well. And I don't understand how those things aren't being talked about. And it's just like, no, if you make more than $600, every single one of those deals needs to be reported with all these details, and then we will review it and either basically do nothing on it. Because think about how many NIL deals are like that, because $600 is nothing. You're going to have esports players that are getting those types of NIL deals possibly through the school. Like, what are we? I just, to me, it's completely missing the mark.
What's funny to me, Jake, what's actually comical about this is that the conversation going in before NIL and things like that was so hard to bend the NCAA's rules of allowing players to profit off of their playing and their name and their image and their likeness and their popularity. It was such a tough process to get players to be getting paid. And now that they are being paid, I would have thought this would have started with extremely strict regulations and a lot of red tape, and the NCAA would have made it extremely difficult for players to make millions. In fact, they did the exact opposite, and they've got nothing to regulate. And it's almost like, you want players to be paid? All right, we're wiping our hands clean. You guys just do whatever you want, but we'll say you have to report essentially every 600. I mean, every NIL deal is going to be almost worth more than $600. Let's be real, or else it wouldn't be worth even being signed. But it's just funny to me that, like, before all this started, the NCAA was so strict on whether or not players were going to get paid or not. And now that they are getting paid, it's almost like the NCAA isn't doing anything.
Yeah, it's the wild, wild west. And in fact, they're just making the transfer portal more and more crazy and all the rules surrounding that. And it's become kind of the disaster it is now. And like you said, it's almost just like the NCAA was like, okay, you want this, you got it. And then just was like, let's do nothing.
Yeah.
And it's been, as I think anyone could have predicted, a disaster. And again, it's incredible to me how useless the NCAA is, and why I think some of the powers that be that Steve Sarkisian has mentioned are having conversations about the best way forward, could very well be getting away from the NCAA. And then the NCAA, I guarantee as soon as that starts to become a reality of a conversation and not just a fan theory, as soon as there's more and more weight to that and it becomes something that's real, the NCAA will all of a sudden start caring, because all of a sudden their billions will be getting threatened.
Yeah, their billions will turn into millions, but I feel like that conversation already should be having some weight. I mean, I feel like the SEC and Big Ten have made it very clear that we are the powers at B. We're gonna, and we can stronghold you into just about anything we want to if the SEC and the Big Ten are in agreement and walk step in step with whatever they're going to move forward with. If that means succeeding from the NCAA and kind of doing their own thing, and they bring some other conferences along with them, and they just decide like, hey, we're going to have the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, and the ACC competing for a national championship of our own, and just getting away from the NCAA. I don't know, how logical or how realistic that is of doing, but I feel like they could definitely stronghold the NCAA just about at any point in time.
Yeah, it's becoming more of a reality for sure. But I think as soon as there's reports of like this is happening, the NCAA will try all of a sudden to act like they're going to change stuff,
And the
and
NCAA,
it'll be too late though at that point.
right, and they're always a step behind. Jake, they've been a step behind on just about everything that they do, and it takes them 2 to 3 years just because of how they've set up their boards and their decision making. It takes 2 to 3 years to come up with any decision. So, yeah, it is going to be too late by the time they make any type of move.
Yeah, I mean, we went from Jim Harbaugh getting in trouble for buying burgers for, one of his recruits that was visiting to this. I mean, just a few years ago that happened, and
Yeah.
now we're to this. We went from there being a rule. I mean, Blue Mountain State parodied a lot of it, and they used the real rules to make fun of it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a South Park situation, but like you can have a bagel, but you can't have cream cheese on it type deal. I mean, the NCAA has always been really, because everyone always agreed back then that it was like, who cares if the coach is buying his recruit dinner when the recruit probably, some of these recruits don't have a bunch of money. They don't come from money. Who
Well,
cares if you're buying them dinners when they're on the recruiting business? To now, it's just open negotiations of millions of dollars.
if we have any, listeners from the Central Texas area or even just Texas college football fans, not the University of Texas, but just as a state, University of Mary Hardin Baylor, their legendary head coach that brought them in national championships and whatnot. He was under NCAA investigation before NIL became a thing for lending a player his car because that player's car broke down. And he went to go pick him up and lent him his car to get to and from work and stuff like that. And that was a violation of NCAA rules. And he got a big fat fine and got suspended and all. I mean, they came down hard on him for it. And he
Yeah,
was
doing that to a Division III school too.
it,
And a coach that doesn't make millions of dollars and
no.
finding him like that. And someone who's just doing to anyone who has any shred of common sense, just a actual nice human being
Yeah,
interaction of just trying to help out a college kid who's a
right.
real college kid who's not, making millions
And
on the
by the way,
side or anything.
UMHB, a Division III school, does not allow full ride scholarships. They don't allow any scholarships of any kind. And so that is a walk-on college football athlete who, again, they're good enough to win national championships playing for this man.
Yeah, it's just the NCAA went from being incredibly out of touch and having no idea what they were doing in one way to being incredibly out of touch and having no idea what they're doing in the complete opposite direction.
Yeah, hard turn. Jake, anything else on the NIL situation and kind of anything else you want to talk about on it?
Something that, I mean, we're just going to continue to see this evolve, and I think we're going to have a lot of conversations about NIL this summer, because I think we're going to continue to see more and more stuff come out. We're going to see probably more articles and ideas coming out, and I think we're going to continue to get closer to having an idea of where this is all going to end up, because everyone knows right now we're just sitting on the edge of the cliff, waiting for that push of what is to come, to where there's going to be a gigantic change to the college sports landscape.
I completely agree. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. Again, tomorrow's episode, we will discuss kind of the state of the program, of where Texas is and where we think different programs are between football, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, softball, so on and so forth. And just, God bless Chris Del Conte and what he's done to this athletic program. But we're going to talk about kind of where we think. And then that conversation is probably going to lead to more conversations throughout the summer of which program needs improvement where, and other conversation points that might branch off of this main discussion that we're going to have tomorrow. So really looking forward to that, Jake. And again, this might be a series that we do maybe every Friday throughout the summer of, let's talk about this program, that program specifically, and where we think they are going to be next year, so on and so forth, and the needs of that program and what they're doing really well in right now. So again, that's Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Again, shorter episodes throughout the summer now that softball is over, winning with the national championship, keeping these episodes really as short as we possibly can, and getting us just through summer, just trying to get through the dog days of summer. And then before we know it, it'll be Texas Ohio State week. And we're just going to be having hour-long episodes just breaking down everything. So we're excited for it, but thanks for sticking with us. We appreciate it. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.